AITA for refusing to let my sister move back in with me after she destroyed my home while I was away. So, a few years ago, I, 32F, bought my first home. It's not huge or fancy, but it's mine, a small two-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood. I work my butt off to get it. I'm not rich, but I budget carefully and take pride in keeping it clean and peaceful. My sister, Lily, 27F, has always been more of a free spirit. She's bounced from job to job, apartment to apartment, and has a tendency to treat life like it's a series of temporary situations she can just charm her way through. Last year, Lily broke up with her boyfriend and lost her apartment. She called me crying, saying she had nowhere else to go. I felt bad for her. She's my sister, and even though she's made mistakes, I wanted to help. So I told her she could stay with me for a few months while she got back on her feet. We drew up some boundaries. No smoking inside, clean up after yourself, and no parties. She agreed to all of it immediately, promising she'd find a new job soon. At first, it wasn't too bad. She did small chores around the house and cooked sometimes. But within a month, she had friends over constantly. I come home to find random people drinking on my couch or using my kitchen like it was a communal space. I confronted her several times, but she always brushed it off. Relax, they're just hanging out, or you're too uptight. Eventually, I told her this couldn't continue, and she promised to cut back. Fast forward to March of this year. My company offered me a chance to go on a 3-week work trip abroad. It was optional, but came with a big bonus and potential promotion, so I took it. Before leaving, I sat Lily down and told her I expected her to respect the house and keep things in order. I even stocked up the fridge, paid all the bills ahead, and left her some extra money for groceries and emergencies. She smiled, hugged me, and said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of everything." I don't know what part of take care of everything she thought meant destroy my entire home. When I got back, the second I opened my front door, I knew something was wrong. The smell hit me first: beer, sweat, and something burnt. My living room looked like a college frat house exploded. There were red Solo cups everywhere, food ground into the carpet, and cigarette burns on my armchair. Someone had drawn on the walls with permanent marker. The kitchen sink was full of dirty dishes, and the trash was overflowing. My cat, who I specifically told her to care for, was missing for 2 days before a neighbor found him hiding under their deck, terrified. When I asked what the hell happened, Lily acted like it wasn't a big deal. Apparently, she had hosted a few small get-togethers that spiraled into a full-blown series of parties. Some of her friends even stayed over for days. She said she was lonely while I was gone and just wanted to have fun. I completely lost it. I told her she had violated every bit of trust one gave her and that she needed to leave immediately. She cried, begged, and said she'd clean everything up. I told her no, she was done. She left that night, but over the next few weeks, she texted me constantly, begging to come back. She said she had nowhere else to go and that she was sorry and didn't mean for things to get out of hand. I ignored her messages until she showed up on my doorstep again last month, holding her suitcase and crying. She said she had lost her job and was sleeping on a friend's couch and that she needed her sister. I told her I was sorry she was struggling, but I couldn't live with her again. Not after what she did. She exploded, calling me heartless and saying, "It's just a house. You care more about your furniture than your own sister." She also brought up how I'm so lucky to have a stable life and how I should share since I have more than she does. The guilt hit me for a while after that. My parents, who live in another state, heard about it and called me, saying that while Lily made a mistake, I should forgive her because family is family. My mom even said, "You have a roof over your head, but she's struggling. Be the bigger person." I told them they could let her stay with them, but of course, they said that wasn't possible right now. A few weeks later, Lily's friend DM'd me on Instagram, saying I was cruel for leaving my own sister homeless. Apparently, Lily's been telling people I kicked her out for no reason and that I care more about my house than my blood. I'm furious, but I also can't stop wondering if I'm being too harsh. I'll admit, part of me misses having her around when she was behaving. Before everything fell apart, we actually got along. She can be funny and caring when she wants to be, but I can't shake the memory of coming home to that disaster. It took me over a month and thousands of dollars to repair and replace everything. My landlord-style security camera, which I installed after the incident, caught glimpses of random people in my living room. People I've never seen before. One guy even tried to light fireworks inside. If I hadn't come back when I did, I'm scared of what could have happened. A few nights ago, Lily texted me again, saying she's sleeping in her car and that winter's coming. She asked if she could just stay for a week or two. I haven't replied. My friends say I'm absolutely right to keep her out, but every time I think about her sitting in a car somewhere, I feel like the worst sister in the world. It's been months since everything went down, but my parents are still pushing me to forgive and forget. My dad even suggested I let her back in with clear rules this time. But what's the point of rules if she already showed me she doesn't respect them? So now I'm stuck between protecting my peace and feeling like I'm abandoning family. My parents think I'm being cold and ungrateful. Lily thinks I'm cruel, and maybe they're right. Maybe I'm choosing my house over my sister. But I also can't unsee the mess, the broken trust, or the terrified look on my cat's face when I found him. I just don't know anymore. AITA for refusing to let my sister move back in after she destroyed my home. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. AITA for refusing to let my brother's fiancé wear my late mom's wedding dress, even though the rest of the family says I'm being selfish. My mom passed away 5 years ago after a long battle with cancer. I, 29F, was her only daughter, and we were incredibly close. When she got sick, one of the last things she did was talk to me about her wedding dress. She said she wanted me to have it, whether I ever wore it or not, because it was something special she wanted passed to me. It wasn't an overly expensive designer gown or anything, but it was handmade by my grandmother and every woman in our family since had worn it for her wedding. My mom was the last one to wear it, and after she died, I had it professionally cleaned, restored, and stored safely. My brother, 32M, Jason, got engaged last year to his fiancée, Mia, 27F. At first, she and I got along fine. She's bubbly, outgoing, and loves being the center of attention. We hung out a few times, but I wouldn't say we're close. When they started planning their wedding, they were struggling with costs, especially after Mia decided she wanted a vintage-themed ceremony. Apparently, vintage meant expensive lace, antiques, and custom everything. About 2 months ago, during a family dinner, Mia brought up the idea of wearing my mom's dress. She said she fell in love with it after seeing a photo of my parents' wedding on Facebook and thought it would be a sweet tribute to the family. My jaw literally dropped. Before I could say anything, my dad looked surprised but didn't speak up, and my brother said it was a beautiful idea. I told her as politely as I could that the dress was very personal and that Mom had specifically given it to me. I said I wasn't comfortable lending it out. Mia immediately looked embarrassed, then annoyed. She said I was being possessive and that Mom would have wanted her memory shared. I said I was sure Mom would be happy to have her remembered at the wedding, but not like that. After that, things got tense. Jason later called me and said I made Mia feel unwelcome in the family and that it's just a dress. I reminded him that it wasn't just a dress. It was one of the few tangible things I'd left from Mom, and she entrusted it to me. He accused me of gatekeeping Mom's memory and said that if Mom were here, she'd want me to be generous. I hung up before I said something I'd regret. The issue went quiet for a bit until last weekend. We were all at my dad's house for his birthday, and Mia showed up wearing a long white lace dress. It wasn't my mom's, but it was clearly designed to look almost identical. My stomach dropped. She spun around and said, "See, I found one just like your mom's. Isn't it fate?" I just smiled tightly and tried to get through dinner. Then, as we were leaving, my aunt pulled me aside and said I should have just let Mia borrow the dress. Apparently, Mia had told everyone that I refused because I couldn't stand to share the spotlight. She told my extended family that I was jealous because I wasn't engaged yet and that I'd been hoarding Mom's belongings. My aunt, uncle, And even one of my cousins told me that I should think about what's best for the family's image, since the wedding will have many relatives attending. My dad stayed quiet the whole time, but later he texted me saying he thought Mia's request was in poor taste, yet he didn't want to start drama before the wedding. The final straw came 3 days ago. I got a call from a seamstress I'd used before to restore the dress, saying Mia had come in asking for a quote to have minor adjustments made to it. The seamstress recognized the dress from photos I'd once shown her on social media and refused, then called me to let me know. I was so stunned I couldn't even speak. I immediately called my brother, furious, and he admitted he had given Mia the key to my dad's storage room where the dress is kept so she could try it on just once. He said she just wanted to see how it looked and that I was overreacting. I completely lost it. I told him what he did was a massive violation of trust, that the dress wasn't his to give, and that I would be taking it out of Dad's house immediately. He said I was being dramatic and hung up on me. I went to my dad's the next day, took the dress, and brought it home. Now Jason and Mia are furious. Mia called me selfish and unkind and said I ruined her dream wedding look. My brother told me he's considering not inviting me to the wedding unless I apologize for causing chaos. My dad is trying to stay neutral, but said he understands why I'm hurt. My stepmom thinks I should be the bigger person and let this go because it's just a dress. But it's not just a dress. It's one of the last pieces of my mom I have. Last night, I got a long message from Mia saying she hopes I can find peace with my grief and that Mom would want us to be sisters. She said she's still open to wearing it if I change my heart. That last line just broke me. I haven't responded, but I can't stop thinking about whether I really did overreact. Everyone keeps saying it's just fabric, but it feels so much bigger than that. I know weddings can make people crazy, but am I really the one being unreasonable here? I didn't yell or insult anyone. I just said no. Still, the whole family seems to think I should have let her have this symbolic gesture. Part of me wonders if Mom really would have wanted me to share it, but then I remember her exact words. It's yours to keep, honey. I want you to decide what happens to it. I've been sleeping terribly since this all started, replaying every conversation. My best friend says my brother and Mia are manipulative and entitled. My aunt insists I'm letting emotions cloud reason. I don't know anymore. I just know the dress is safe in my closet now, and for the first time in months, that gives me some peace. Still, I can't shake the guilt. Am I really the bad guy for protecting something that means so much to me? AITA for refusing to take down the photo that ruined my sister's engagement? So, I, 27F, have always had a complicated relationship with my sister, Emily, 29F. She's one of those people who always needs to be the main character in every room. Growing up, she was the golden child, while I was the responsible one. I wasn't neglected, but she definitely got the spotlight. Dance recitals, awards, family vacations planned around her schedule, that kind of thing. Our relationship as adults has been civil. We don't fight outright, but there's a quiet competition that simmers beneath everything. She's an influencer now. Nothing massive, but she's got around 80K followers, and she treats her Instagram like it's her full-time job. Her entire feed is curated perfection. Her fiancé, now ex, but we'll get there, their dog, her aesthetic apartment, her clean girl routines. Meanwhile, I'm an accountant. My life isn't particularly exciting, but it's real. I have a small following on social media, mostly family and friends, and I post candid stuff, funny moments, normal life things. Last month, our parents threw an engagement party for Emily and her fiancé, Jake, 31M. It was at a local vineyard, and my mom went all out. Decorations, catering, live music. I was actually happy for Emily, despite her differences, and I even helped my mom organize the event. The day of the party, Emily was in full influencer mode, posing for pictures every few minutes, telling people where to stand so she could get good angles. At one point, she made the photographer redo a group shot because her hair looked too flat. It was exhausting to watch. Anyway, I took a few candid photos throughout the evening. People laughing, our grandparents dancing, the kids playing in the grass. One of those photos happened to show Emily and Jake standing together near the vineyard fence mid-conversation. They weren't posing, it was just a quiet, sweet moment. Emily was looking at him, smiling. Later that night, when I was going through my pictures, I posted a small album on Facebook with about 20 shots, including that one. I tagged a few family members, but didn't think anything of it. Everyone loved the pictures and commented how natural and joyful they looked. 3 days later, I woke up to about 15 missed calls from Emily. When I finally picked up, she was furious. She said I had completely sabotaged her engagement. Apparently, after I posted that album, one of Jake's friends commented under the photo of them by the fence, "Crazy to see you two still together after Saturday night, LOL." Emily saw it, confronted Jake, and, after some digging, found out that he had hooked up with one of the bridesmaids' friends the night before the engagement party. He claimed it was a mistake and that he was going to tell her eventually, but she ended things immediately. I felt awful for her, but she didn't stop there. She accused me of doing it on purpose. She said that I knew about Jake's cheating. I didn't. That I had baited him by posting that photo, and that I wanted to ruin her big moment because I was jealous. She demanded that I delete the entire album immediately. I refused. I told her I wasn't going to take it down because it wasn't my fault her fiancé cheated, and the photo itself wasn't inappropriate or disrespectful. It was literally just a candid shot. She said I could have protected her by not posting it, and that I clearly enjoyed the chaos it caused. Our parents got involved. My mom begged me to remove the post for family peace, while my dad said Emily was being irrational. I stood my ground because, honestly, I don't think I did anything wrong. It's not my fault her fiancé's friend decided to air his dirty laundry under a Facebook post. But Emily hasn't spoken to me since. She uninvited me from her upcoming birthday dinner, blocked me on everything, and apparently told mutual friends that I'm toxic and vindictive. Some of those friends have started messaging me, saying I should have just taken the post down to keep the peace. For the record, the album didn't go viral or anything. It's just on my private account, visible to friends and family. But Emily insists that it's embarrassing because everyone knows what happened and everyone saw that picture. The weird thing is, since the breakup, she's been posting healing journey content, stuff like choosing myself and you can't lose what was never yours. It's clearly about Jake, but she still blames me for the fact that she had to find out at all. I've replayed it 100 times in my head, trying to see if I could have done something differently. Should I have asked before posting? Maybe. But I also know Emily well enough to know that if I had asked, she would have micromanaged every photo until it looked like a curated ad campaign. It feels unfair that I'm being punished for something I had no control over. I didn't cheat. I didn't comment. I didn't know anything. But now I'm the villain in her story. To make it worse, our mom keeps hinting that Emily's been through enough and that I should just do the right thing and delete the photo, even now. She says it's a small gesture that could help rebuild trust. But honestly, I feel like deleting it now would just validate the idea that I did something wrong, which I didn't. Jake, by the way, tried to reach out and apologize for the fallout. He said he felt guilty that my relationship with my sister got destroyed because of his mistake. He even offered to comment on the post himself, admitting that it was his fault, but I told him not to. That would just reignite everything. So here I am, months later, still with a family divide over a single Facebook photo. Part of me wonders if I should just take it down and make peace, but another part of me feels like I'm constantly expected to be the one who caves whenever Emily throws a tantrum. My dad says this might actually be the best thing that could have happened for her. She avoided marrying someone unfaithful. But in her mind, that's not a blessing, it's a betrayal. She even told one of our cousins that some people can't stand to see others happy. That one hurt, because despite everything, I was genuinely happy for her that night. I never would have done anything to hurt her intentionally. Now family holidays are awkward. My mom keeps pretending things are fine, but Emily refuses to be in the same room as me. My dad suggested doing separate Thanksgiving dinners this year, just to avoid drama. So yeah, I guess my question is, am I the asshole for refusing to take down the photo that unintentionally exposed my sister's fiancé's cheating? Or am I just caught in the crossfire of something that wasn't mine to begin with? AITA for refusing to let my brother's fiancé wear my late mother's wedding dress and ruining their engagement party? So I, 29F, lost my mom 5 years ago after a long battle with cancer. She was my best friend, and I took her passing really hard. My mom had this beautiful vintage lace wedding dress that she had kept in pristine condition for decades. It was her dream for me to wear it if I ever got married one day. Before she died, she told me she wanted me to have it because I was her only daughter and she wanted me to have something special from her when that time came. The dress has been kept safely in a preservation box in my closet since then. I don't even take it out because it's so sentimental. It's one of those last piece of her things that feels like a connection I can never replace. Now, here's where things start getting messy. My brother, Jason, 31M, got engaged to his fiancée, Lauren, 26F, about 6 months ago. At first, I was really happy for them. Lauren and I were friendly, but not super close. She's always struck me as a bit entitled, but I kept things polite. About a month ago, Lauren called me out of the blue and asked if she could borrow my mom's wedding dress for her own wedding. I was stunned. I asked her why she thought that would be okay, and she said, "Well, it's a family heirloom, isn't it? I'd be keeping the tradition alive until you get married." I told her as calmly as I could that the dress isn't a family heirloom in the sense that everyone gets to use it. It was something my mom left specifically to me, and I wasn't comfortable lending it out. Lauren seemed surprised and said she just assumed I'd want to honor my mom by keeping her memory alive at their wedding too. I said I didn't see how loaning out my mom's dress to someone else would do that, and I told her no again. She seemed annoyed, but said she understood. I thought that was the end of it. Fast forward to last weekend, when my brother and Lauren hosted their engagement party at my parents' house. Technically, it's my dad's now, but he let them use it. My dad's been trying really hard to make peace with everyone and didn't want any family drama. So I went, even though I felt awkward around Lauren after the dress thing. During the party, Lauren stood up to make a little toast about family and legacy. Then she started talking about how she wished her own mom were alive to see her get married, and that it means so much to have family who are willing to share their love and memories. Then she turned to me and said, "And I just want to thank my name for agreeing to let me wear her mom's dress. It's so special and means the world to me." I froze. People started clapping. My dad looked at me with this confused expression. I immediately said, "Wait, what? I never agreed to that." Lauren's smile dropped, and the room went dead silent. Jason tried to smooth it over, saying something like, "Babe, maybe we should talk about this later," but Lauren looked absolutely mortified. She muttered something about miscommunication and ran off crying. Everyone was staring at me like I had just slapped her. Jason pulled me aside later and said I completely humiliated Lauren and made a scene at their party. I told him that she was the one who lied in front of everyone. He said she only did it because she thought I'd come around eventually and that she was trying to include my mom's memory in the celebration. I asked if he was seriously defending her lying in public about something so personal, and he said I could have just gone along with it and said we'd figure out later instead of embarrassing her. Now the whole family is divided. My dad is on my side, saying my mom left that dress to me and that Lauren had no right to claim it. But my aunt, who loves drama, called me selfish for hoarding the dress when it's not like I'm even married. A few cousins are saying I could have just let Lauren wear it to keep peace in the family. Lauren's been posting these vague messages on social media about being hurt by people who can't let go of the past. Jason hasn't talked to me since the party, and apparently they've postponed their wedding planning because of stress. Part of me wonders if I overreacted in the moment. Maybe I could have just kept quiet and corrected it later privately. But another part of me feels like I was completely blindsided and manipulated in front of everyone, and I shouldn't have to lie about something so meaningful to me just to protect her feelings. My mom's dress is literally one of the last things I have from her. I'm not married yet, but I've always pictured walking down the aisle in it someday. The idea of someone else wearing it, especially someone who tried to guilt trip me into it, makes me feel sick. Still, I can't help feeling guilty about how it all blew up. My brother's wedding is supposed to be a happy thing, and now everyone's treating me like I'm the villain who ruined their big moment. Jason texted me a few days ago, saying Lauren's been crying nonstop, and that I should apologize for making her look bad. I told him I'm sorry she's upset, but I'm not apologizing for standing up for myself or for my mom's memory. He said, "Mom wouldn't want you to cause a scene like that. That one hurt because my mom hated family fights. But I also know she would never have wanted her dress used as a prop in someone else's drama. Now my dad is trying to convince Jason and me to sit down and talk, but I don't even know what to say. I don't think Lauren will ever admit she was wrong, and I don't see how I could trust her again after that stunt. So now I'm wondering, did I go too far by calling her out in front of everyone? Should I have handled it differently, even though I was put on the spot? Or was I justified in standing my ground and refusing to let her manipulate my mom's memory like that? AITA for refusing to let my brother's fiancée wear my late mom's wedding dress and ruining their engagement party? AITA for refusing to let my brother and his fiancée have their dream wedding at my house after what they did to my wife. Okay, so buckle up because this is a long one and I honestly still don't know if I'm in the wrong or just finally standing up for myself. I, 34M, own a house with my wife, Lila, 33F. We bought it about 5 years ago after saving for what felt like forever. It's not a mansion or anything, but it's a nice home on some land, and we've spent a lot of time and money making it exactly how we want it. Beautiful gardens, a big deck, outdoor lights, the whole perfect wedding backdrop vibe. My younger brother, Adam, 29M, got engaged to his fiancée, Maya, 27F, last year. They're both super into social media and have this whole influencer aesthetic thing going on. They vlog everything from their breakfast smoothies to their relationship milestones. That's relevant later. When they got engaged, they started talking about wanting a simple, rustic outdoor wedding. My mom immediately said, "Oh, you should ask your brother to have it at his place." It's perfect. I wasn't even in the room when she said it, but apparently she was telling everyone how it would save them money and keep it in the family. A few weeks later, Adam called me to ask. He started with, "Hey man, I know this is a big ask, but Maya and I would love to have a wedding at your place." He promised they'd rent bathrooms, clean up everything, pay for any damages, etc. Lila was hesitant, and honestly, so was I. We've hosted small events before, but a 100-person wedding is a whole different level. Still, family pressure kicked in. My mom guilt-tripped me about how it would mean so much to Adam, and you're so lucky to have a place like that. We finally agreed, with conditions. We wrote out a simple agreement. They'd rent everything, get event insurance, and not use any part of our home's interior except the downstairs bathroom. They signed it, all good. Fast forward to about 2 months before the wedding. Lila and I hosted a small barbecue for family and the wedding party to do a walkthrough. Maya showed up with a creative director she hired for their wedding content. The woman was literally walking around our property with a camera, saying things like, "Oh my God, this lighting is perfect for the vows," and "we'll definitely get drone shots over the deck." That made Lila uncomfortable because our house has a lot of personal stuff, family photos, decorations, even some expensive garden sculpture she inherited from her grandmother. Lila politely told Maya, "Just please make sure the filming stays outside and doesn't include our personal stuff." Maya smiled and said, "Of course. You won't even notice us." A week later, one of Lila's coworkers sent her a link to Maya's YouTube channel. Maya had posted a wedding planning vlog that included a full house tour of our home. I'm talking every room, our bedroom, my office, Lila's art studio. She filmed everything while narrating about manifesting the perfect rustic venue and talking about how lucky we are that my future brother-in-law and his wife have this gorgeous property. She blurred nothing. You could see family pictures, mail with our address, everything. Lila was furious and humiliated. We reported the video and had it taken down, but the damage was done. Over 40,000 views, tons of comments praising her aesthetic. When Lila confronted Maya, she brushed it off. "It's not a big deal. Everyone loved it, and it's free promotion for your home if you ever want to rent it for events." We told Adam the wedding was off. Full stop. We weren't comfortable hosting people who clearly didn't respect boundaries. Adam exploded, saying we were overreacting and ruining his life. My mom called crying, begging me to reconsider because they'd already sent out invites with our address. Yes, our address, without asking. Lila and I stood firm. We told them we'd refund their deposit, which was symbolic anyway, just to make things official, but the event wasn't happening here. Then the smear campaign started. Maya posted a series of cryptic TikToks about toxic family members sabotaging your happiness. Adam started messaging our relatives, saying Lila was jealous of Maya's success and always hated her. My aunt called to say, "Can't you just let them have one day?" I tried explaining that it wasn't about the wedding. It was about the blatant disrespect and invasion of privacy. But apparently, because I have the space, I'm supposed to just suck it up. 2 weeks later, my dad called me and said Adam and Maya had found a new venue but were heartbroken and might not even invite you. I said, that's their choice, and thought it was over. Except it wasn't. Last weekend, I found out through social media that they still use photos of our property on their wedding website. They even photoshopped themselves into our garden for their save-the-date photo. I asked them to take it down immediately, and Maya actually said, it's artistic representation, not literal. Lila lost it. She sent a formal cease and desist letter. Her cousin is a lawyer. That finally got the images removed, but now half of our extended family thinks we're monsters who ruined a wedding over a YouTube video. Even my dad said, you could have handled it more privately, which is funny because we tried. Maya was the one who made our home public. Now Lila barely talks to Adam's side of the family. She's embarrassed, and I feel torn between supporting her and feeling guilty that I'm now the selfish brother. I've always been the peacekeeper, but this time I couldn't ignore how invasive and disrespectful Maya was. Adam texted me this morning saying, hope you're happy. You split the family over some stupid online drama. I didn't respond, but I keep wondering, should I have just let it go for the sake of family peace? Did I make this bigger than it needed to be? AITA for refusing to let them have their wedding in my house after they violated our privacy like that? AITA for telling my sister she can't move into my house after she lost hers, even though I have a spare bedroom? So I, 33F, bought my first home about 2 years ago. It's a small 3-bedroom house in a quiet area, nothing fancy, but it's mine, and I work my butt off for it. I grew up in a chaotic household, so owning a peaceful space felt like the biggest accomplishment of my life. My older sister, Rachel, 36F, has always been the opposite of me. She's a free spirit, which is code for completely irresponsible. She's bounced between jobs, relationships, and apartments for as long as I can remember. Our parents usually bailed her out, but after Dad passed 3 years ago and Mom downsized, Rachel didn't have that safety net anymore. A few months ago, Rachel called me in tears. Her landlord was selling the house she was renting, and she couldn't afford the new rent prices anywhere near her job. She asked if she could stay with me for just a few weeks until she found a place. At first, I hesitated. My peace and solitude mean everything to me. But then I thought about how rough she's had it lately, and I didn't want to be heartless. I told her she could stay for up to 2 months, rent-free, as long as she respected my space and chipped in for groceries. She agreed. For the first week, things were fine. She was polite, helped cook dinner, and even brought home wine a few nights. But slowly, it started to unravel. She began leaving her stuff everywhere. Makeup on the bathroom counter, clothes draped over the couch, dirty dishes in the sink. I'd wake up to loud music or her on the phone at 2 a.m. in the living room. When I asked her to keep it down, she'd roll her eyes and say, "You're so uptight. Relax, it's not like you have kids to wake up." Then came the guests. She started bringing her boyfriend, who I didn't even know she was dating, over constantly. He's loud, smokes on my back porch even though I told him not to, and once used my expensive shampoo. I confronted her and said this wasn't what we agreed to. She snapped, saying I was acting like her landlord instead of her sister. By the time her 2 months were up, she hadn't even started looking for another place. I brought it up gently, asking what her plan was. She got defensive, saying, "There's nowhere affordable right now. You're lucky you even own a house." She then asked if she could stay just until spring, which would have been another 4 months. I told her no. I reminded her of our agreement and said she had to start making concrete plans. She accused me of being cold and privileged, saying I only cared about my comfort and not about family. I still told her she needed to find another place by the end of the month. 2 days later, I came home to find she'd thrown a small party. There were at least 8 people in my house, half drunk, using my kitchen like it was a bar. I lost it. I kicked everyone out and told Rachel she needed to pack her things and leave the next morning. She screamed at me, saying I was heartless, that she had nowhere to go, and that Dad would be ashamed of me. That one really hurt. Our dad always tried to keep the peace between us, and hearing her use his memory against me felt cruel. The next day, she left, but not before posting a long Facebook rant about how some people think owning a house makes them better than their own family. A bunch of mutual friends and even a cousin commented things like, "That's so sad," and "family should help each other." Now my phone's been blowing up with messages, some supporting me, others saying I should have been more understanding. Even my mom said I could have given her more time, though she admitted Rachel has always taken advantage of people's kindness. I keep second-guessing myself. On one hand, it's my home, my rules, and I was more than generous letting her stay rent-free. On the other, she really doesn't have much going for her right now, and maybe I could have tried harder to help her get on her feet. But every time I think about that party or waking up at 2 a.m. to her chaos, I remember why I love living alone. To make things more complicated, Rachel's been couch-hopping with friends since she left, and one of them called me recently, saying she's been a wreck and that I should check in. I did call her twice, but she didn't answer. Later, she texted me, "Don't bother pretending you care now. Mom's been pressuring me to just talk to her, saying sisters should stick together, but I feel like I've done my part. I can't risk my sanity and peace for someone who doesn't respect boundaries." Still, the guilt eats at me sometimes. I keep thinking about a conversation Rachel and I had years ago. She once told me that I was the lucky one, the one who got the stable job, the steady life, the house. She said she always felt like she was drowning while I was floating above it all. At the time, I thought she was being dramatic, but maybe there was truth in it. Maybe she really does feel like I've abandoned her while I'm thriving. But then again, I worked so hard to get where I am. I saved for years, skipped vacations, stayed in jobs I didn't love just to build security. I don't feel lucky. I feel like I earned this peace. And I can't give that up because my sister refuses to get her life together. Now, with the holidays coming up, the family group chat is a mess. Mom keeps hinting that I should invite Rachel to Thanksgiving to patch things up. I don't want drama at my table, but saying no will make me the villain again. My brother, who lives out of state, told me privately he understands why I did what I did, but that maybe it's easier just to keep the peace. It's exhausting. I love my sister. I really do, but I can't be her safety net forever. I want her in my life, just not in my house. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to let my sister move back in and choosing my peace over helping family again? AITA for refusing to give my sister the wedding dress I bought because she's getting married before me? So I, 28F, got engaged to my fiancé Ryan, 30M, last year after being together for 6 years. We decided to have a long engagement because we're saving up for a house, and honestly, we're not in a rush. My younger sister, Emily, 25F, has been dating her boyfriend Jason, 27M, for about a year and a half. They got engaged this past spring. Now, Emily has always been the golden child in our family. She's outgoing, bubbly, and my parents have a soft spot for her. I'm quieter and more reserved, and I've never really minded being in her shadow. But this whole situation has tested me in ways I didn't expect. Last year, right after I got engaged, I bought my wedding dress. It was my dream dress, a designer gown I've been eyeing for years, but could never justify buying until I got engaged. It was on sale for 40% off, so even though our wedding wasn't happening anytime soon, I bought it. It's classic, simple, and elegant, exactly my style. I had it professionally stored in my parents' house because I live in a small apartment. My mom saw it when I brought it home and gushed over how beautiful it was. Emily saw it too and said something like, "Wow, that's really pretty. I wish I could pull off something like that." I thought that was the end of it. Fast forward to 2 months ago. Emily announces that she and Jason are getting married in March, a full year before Ryan and I planned to. Everyone's thrilled, including me. I truly was happy for her. But about a week later, my mom called me and asked if I'd be willing to let Emily borrow my wedding dress for her big day. Apparently, Emily had been shopping and fell in love with a dress that was way out of her budget. Then she remembered mine and told Mom how perfect it would be for her. Mom thought it would be a sweet sister moment if I let her wear it. I laughed at first, thinking it was a joke, but she was serious. I told her absolutely not, that the dress was mine, and I'd been dreaming of wearing it for years. Mom said I was being selfish since I wasn't using it anytime soon and that Emily's wedding was coming up fast. She suggested Emily could pay to have it dry cleaned and altered back afterward. I refused again. I said a wedding dress isn't like borrowing a sweater. It's personal. I also said I didn't trust that it would come back in the same condition. Mom got quiet, then said I should think about what kind of sister I want to be. That night Emily called me, sounding teary. She said she felt embarrassed because she'd already told some of her bridesmaids that she might wear my dress and that now she'd have to go back on it. She said she couldn't afford her dream dress and that she thought I'd be honored to share mine with her. I told her that while I understand, she should pick something that fits her and her day, not take mine. She accused me of not supporting her happiness and said I was being territorial over a piece of fabric. Things escalated quickly. My parents both called me separately to say I was causing unnecessary drama and that it would be a beautiful gesture to let Emily wear it. Ryan, my fiancé, told me I shouldn't feel pressured. It's my dress and my choice. A few days later, I went to my parents' house to pick up the dress and bring it to my apartment for safekeeping. When I got there, it was gone. Mom said she didn't know where it was, but I didn't believe her. I checked the closet where it had been stored, and it was empty. I lost it. I told her if Emily took it without asking, I'd call the police for theft. Mom got defensive, saying, "Don't you dare ruin your sister's wedding over a dress." I left in tears and immediately called Emily. She didn't answer, but later texted saying she had the dress and just wanted to try it on. She said she'd bring it back. I told her that wasn't acceptable, and she had 24 hours to return it or I'd file a report. She called me dramatic and said I was turning a happy moment into a nightmare. The next day, my dad dropped the dress off at my place, still in its garment bag but slightly wrinkled. No apology. Just said, "You got what you wanted, but I hope you're happy breaking your sister's heart." Since then, my parents have been cold toward me. Emily hasn't spoken to me in over a month. Apparently, she found another dress, but she told relatives that I stole her joy. My aunt even messaged me to say I should have been kinder. Ryan thinks my family is being manipulative and that I need to set boundaries before it gets worse. But part of me wonders if I overreacted. It's just a dress, right? And maybe letting her wear it would have been the mature thing to do. But another part of me feels completely violated, like they tried to take something deeply personal without my consent and then painted me as the villain for saying no. Now, my parents have hinted that Emily might not want me in her bridal party anymore because things are too tense. I honestly don't even know if I want to attend the wedding at this point. My friends are divided. Half of them say I had every right to protect something sentimental. The other half say family comes before material things, and I should have just let it go. So now I'm wondering if I handled this all wrong. Maybe I could have been more understanding. Maybe I should have let her wear it and just accepted that my turn would come later. But the whole thing still makes me angry and hurt, not just because they tried to take the dress, but because nobody seemed to care about what I wanted. They only cared about keeping Emily happy. AITA for refusing to let my sister wear my wedding dress, and threatening to call the police when she took it without asking. AITA for refusing to go to my sister's wedding after she made my daughter a backup flower girl. So my 39F younger sister, Danielle, 32F, is getting married in December. She's always been the golden child in our family, smart, beautiful, and my mom's favorite. We've had an okay relationship over the years, but there's always been this quiet tension because she tends to treat me like her assistant more than her sister. I have a 9-year-old daughter, Mia, who absolutely adores Danielle. She calls her Auntie Danny and has always looked up to her. When Danielle got engaged last year, Mia was over the moon. She kept talking about how she couldn't wait to be the flower girl. Danielle would often say things like, "Of course, you'll have a special job, sweetheart," and I assumed that meant she'd be the flower girl. A few months ago, Danielle officially asked my husband and me to be part of the wedding, my husband as an usher, and me as one of her honor attendants, whatever that means. I'm basically doing extra tasks for her maid of honor. I was a bit surprised that she didn't mention Mia, but I figured she'd bring it up later. Then, 2 weeks ago, Danielle called and said she wanted to talk about Mia's role. I was excited until she said so about Mia being the backup flower girl. I paused and asked what she meant by backup. Danielle explained that her fiancé's niece, Lily, 7F, would be the flower girl, and that if Lily got sick or couldn't handle it emotionally, Mia would step in. I thought she was joking. She wasn't. She literally wanted my daughter to dress up, attend all the rehearsals, and sit there on standby in case the real flower girl didn't show up. I asked her if she realized how hurtful that would be. She said, "Oh, come on, it's not that deep. Kids forget these things in a week. Plus, Lily's parents already bought her dress." I told her flat out that I wasn't okay with that. She said I was overreacting and making things difficult. Then she suggested Mia could be a pedal helper, meaning she'd follow Lily down the aisle and make sure the pedals are even. I told her no, that's insulting. Danielle got defensive and said she couldn't please everyone and that it's her wedding, her choice. I didn't say anything right then, but when I told Mia later that night, I tried to soften it. I said Annie Danny picked someone else to be the flower girl, but Mia might have another job helping out. Mia started crying. She said, "Did I do something wrong? I thought she wanted me." It broke my heart. The next day, my mom called me and said I should have kept my mouth shut and not made Mia upset over adult decisions. She told me that Danielle was really stressed and that I should apologize for making it harder for her. I said I wasn't apologizing and that I was actually reconsidering going to the wedding at all. Cue the drama. Danielle texted me a long message saying she couldn't believe I'd make her wedding about myself, that I was teaching Mia to be entitled, and that it's not like being a flower girl is some sacred role. She ended the text with, "If you can't support me on my special day, maybe it's best if you don't come." So, I didn't. I sent her a polite message saying that I loved her, but wouldn't be attending since it clearly caused her stress, and that I hoped her day went perfectly. She left me on read. My parents blew up my phone saying I'd ruined the family dynamic and humiliated Danielle by bailing last minute. The wedding's still 6 weeks away, by the way. Now everyone's divided. My dad quietly told me he understands, but my mom has been icy. Danielle's been posting inspirational Instagram quotes about cutting out toxic people and family who can't celebrate your happiness. A few relatives have even called me to say I'm punishing Danielle over something trivial. Here's the part that's making me question myself. I know weddings are stressful, and I know people get touchy about roles. Maybe I should have just gone, smiled, and let Mia hand out programs or something. But I can't shake how cruel it felt for Danielle to dangle the flower girl spot in front of my kid for months and then relegate her to a backup. I keep replaying the look on Mia's face when she realized she wasn't good enough. She's only 9, and this was someone she really loves. She still hasn't spoken to Danielle since. Last week, when we were at my parents' house, Danielle dropped by unexpectedly. Mia hid behind me and wouldn't say hi. Danielle tried to act like everything was fine, but you could tell she was uncomfortable. Later, she told my mom I was poisoning Mia against her. The kicker? A mutual friend who's helping plan the wedding told me Danielle had originally planned to have both girls as flower girls, but then her fiancé's mother insisted it should be just family. Danielle supposedly agreed to keep the peace, but instead of being honest about it, she made up this backup story so it wouldn't look like she caved. That makes me even angrier, because instead of protecting a child's feelings, she protected her image. My husband says I did the right thing, that boundaries matter, and that if Danielle really cared about me or Mia, she'd have found a way to make both girls feel included. But my mom keeps guilt-tripping me, saying you only get one sister and you'll regret missing her wedding. I don't know anymore. Maybe I should have swallowed my pride, attended for the sake of family peace, and just ignored how badly the situation was handled. But I can't get past the fact that Danielle thought so little of my daughter's feelings, and that everyone expects me to act like it's no big deal. AITA for refusing to go to my sister's wedding after she made my daughter the backup flower girl. Hey friends, if you enjoy this content, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to know what you like and what can be improved. What do you think of the video? Are there any topics you'd like to see in future videos? Your feedback really helps us get better. Thanks for being with us. AITA for refusing to attend my brother's wedding because of the way he treated my wife. So I, 34M, have a younger brother, Adam, 31M, who has always been the golden child in our family. He's charming, charismatic, successful, basically the kind of guy who gets away with everything because that's just how Adam is. Growing up, our parents always sided with him, even when he was clearly in the wrong. I've mostly learned to live with it, but this whole situation has pushed me past my limit. I met my wife, Clara, 33F, about 6 years ago. She's kind, introverted, and works as a nurse. She's also from a different cultural background. Her family is from the Philippines, while we're a white Midwestern family. My parents were polite to her, but always a bit distant, like they couldn't figure out how to relate to her. Adam, on the other hand, made it his mission to tease her. He'd constantly make jokes about her accent, ask if she knew how to make real American food, and once asked if she was in it for the green card. At first, Clara laughed it off, trying to be the bigger person, but I could tell it bothered her deeply. I confronted Adam multiple times, but he always brushed it off, saying I was too sensitive and that she needed to learn how to take a joke. My parents would tell me not to make a big deal out of it because that's just Adam being Adam. About a year ago, Adam got engaged to his girlfriend, Lila, 29F. When they announced it, the family went all out. Fancy dinner, champagne, speeches. Clara and I congratulated them sincerely and offered to help with wedding planning. Lila seemed nice enough, but she was clearly under Adam's spell, laughing at all his jokes and mimicking his dismissive attitude toward us. Then came the engagement party. Clara and I arrived early to help set up. Lila's family was there, and they were all really warm and welcoming. For once, I thought maybe things would go smoothly. But during dinner, Adam started making jokes again, this time about Clara's culture. He asked her if she'd brought any weird Filipino food, and when she mentioned her favorite dish, he made a disgusted face and said, "Yeah, we don't do that kind of stuff here." The worst part came later when they were giving toasts. Adam raised his glass and said, "I'm glad my brother finally found someone who'll take care of him. I mean, she's literally a nurse. How convenient." Everyone laughed, except Clara and me. I could see her holding back tears. Afterward, she went to the bathroom and didn't come back for almost 20 minutes. When she returned, she was pale and quiet. We left early, and that night, she told me she didn't want to go to the wedding if Adam was going to keep treating her like that. I completely agreed. I texted Adam the next day and told him he needed to apologize. His response was, "Tell her to lighten up. It was a joke. If she's that sensitive, maybe she shouldn't come." That was the last straw for me. I told him we wouldn't be attending the wedding unless he sincerely apologized to Clara. He called me dramatic and said I was trying to ruin his big day. Our parents got involved, of course, and they sided with Adam. My mom said, "It's his wedding, honey. Don't make it about you." I reminded her that Adam made it about Clara every time he humiliated her in front of people. My dad said, "You know your brother doesn't mean harm. He just jokes around." Over the next few months, I kept hoping Adam would come to his senses. He didn't. In fact, he doubled down. He posted on Facebook about how some people can't take a joke and are ruining family events with their drama. People in the comments laughed along. Clara was mortified. She told me she didn't want me to cut ties with my family because of her, but I told her it wasn't about her. It was about respect. When the wedding invites were sent out, ours had a handwritten note. "Hope you can make it. No hard feelings." I took that as sarcasm. We RSVP'd? No. Fast forward to the wedding day. I thought that would be the end of it, but during the ceremony, my mom texted me a photo of Adam and Lila, along with, "You should have been here. Family is everything." I didn't reply. A week later, I got a long message from Adam saying I'd embarrassed him by not showing up, that everyone was asking where his brother was, and that I'd made him look bad. He accused me of being controlled by my wife and said I'd chosen her over family. I told him flat out that I had chosen respect over abuse. He laughed and said, "Wow, you're really whipped." That ended our conversation. Now it's been 3 months since the wedding, and the family is still divided. My parents barely talk to me, my cousins are split, and my aunt told me she secretly agreed with me, but didn't want to cause waves. Clara feels guilty, even though she shouldn't. Last week, my mom called and said they're planning a family Thanksgiving. She asked if we'd come for the sake of family unity. I said I'd come if Adam apologized. She sighed and said, "You're holding a grudge. He's moved on." I told her moving on isn't the same as taking accountability. Now Clara's worried that I've made things worse by standing my ground. She says she doesn't want to be the reason I lose my family. I keep telling her it's not her fault, that this all started because of Adam's disrespect, but I can tell it's eating at her. A part of me wonders if I should have just gone to the wedding and ignored Adam's behavior for the sake of keeping the peace. Maybe it was petty to boycott such a big event, even if I had good reasons. But another part of me thinks that if I keep letting him get away with it, nothing will ever change. I'm stuck between wanting to mend things and not wanting to betray my wife by pretending everything's fine. My parents keep saying family comes first, but I think they're missing that my wife is my family now too. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to go to my brother's wedding because of the way he treated my wife. AITA for telling my sister her husband isn't welcome at our family Christmas after what he did to my fiancé. This all started last year, but the fallout is still happening. I, 29F, am the middle of three sisters. Anna, 32F, and Becca, 26F. We're pretty close, or at least we were before this whole mess. Anna is married to a guy named Mark, 34M. They've been together for about 6 years, and honestly, I've never really liked him. He's one of those people who always makes jokes that cross the line, then says everyone's too sensitive when they get upset. My fiancé, Tom, 30M, is one of the kindest people I've ever met. He's quiet, a little socially anxious, and tends to avoid confrontation. He works as a nurse, volunteers with a dog rescue, and literally bakes bread when he's stressed. He's the opposite of Mark in every possible way. Last Christmas, my parents hosted their usual big family gathering. Everyone was there, my sisters, their partners, my cousins, uncles, etc. It was supposed to be the first time Tom spent the holidays with my family, and he was so nervous. He even asked me what kind of humor my family liked, so he could fit in. I told him everyone's pretty chill, just avoid politics and religion. It started off fine. Tom brought homemade sourdough and cookies. My mom was thrilled, and everyone seemed to like him. But Mark, being Mark, started with the jokes within an hour. At first it was little things like, "Oh, a nurse, huh? So you must love wiping butts all day." Tom laughed it off, but then Mark started teasing him about being too soft and the kind of guy who cries during Pixar movies. Then after dinner, when we were all having drinks, Mark decided to turn things up. He started telling this story about a real man's job, how he used to work construction, and how men who work in hospitals are basically just maids with stethoscopes. Everyone went quiet. My dad shot him a look, but before anyone could say anything, Mark looked right at Tom and said, "Guess you were the pants at home, huh? Or does she?" Tom turned red and said quietly, "That's not really appropriate." Mark just laughed and said, "Relax, it's a joke. You gotta learn to take one, man." I told Mark to knock it off, and Anna jumped in saying, "It didn't mean anything by it." I said, "He literally just insulted Tom to his face." My mom tried to change the subject, but the tension was awful. The next day, Tom told me he didn't want to make a big deal, but that he felt humiliated. He tried so hard to make a good impression, and instead he got mocked in front of everyone. I was furious, but told him I'd handle it. I called Anna a few days later and told her that Mark owed Tom an apology. She sighed and said I was being dramatic, that Mark was just joking and Tom needed to grow thicker skin. I told her, "It's not a joke when someone tells you your job makes you less of a man." She said, "Well, Mark's just like that. He teases everyone, except he doesn't. He only teases people he thinks won't fight back." Months passed. No apology ever came. Tom avoided family stuff because he didn't want to see Mark, and honestly, I didn't blame him. Fast forward to this October. My parents are planning this year's Christmas early, and my mom called to ask if Tom and I are coming. I told her yes, as long as Mark isn't there. She went quiet and said, "Sweetheart, you know I can't uninvite Anna's husband." I said, "Then we're not coming." Word got around fast. Anna called me furious, saying I was punishing her for something that happened last year. I told her it's not about punishment. It's about boundaries. Tom isn't comfortable being around someone who disrespected him, and I won't make him feel small in his own family. She said, "You're really going to make our parents choose between us?" I said, "No, I'm just choosing not to be around your husband until he apologizes." Then Mark decided to text me himself. He sent this long message that started with, "Hey, sorry if you or your boyfriend got offended. I was just messing around." That was the entire apology. I told him, "That's not an apology. You embarrassed him and you don't even seem to care." He replied, "You're making a mountain out of a molehill. If he can't handle a joke, that's on him." So I told him flat out, "You're not welcome around us until you can treat people with respect." Now Ann is furious. She's saying I'm tearing the family apart over a single evening of bad jokes, that I'm making Tom out to be some fragile victim, and that I'm trying to control who gets invited to Christmas. My mom says she understands both sides and wants me to reconsider because she doesn't want drama at the holidays. I told her, the drama only happens when Mark opens his mouth. She said, "But you can't expect Anna to come without her husband." I said, "Then maybe we all need smaller Christmases this year." Since then, my phone's been blowing up with mixed messages. Becca's on my side and said Mark's always been a jerk. Dad texted me saying he supports me but doesn't want Mom upset. Maya told me I'm overreacting and that family gatherings mean tolerating annoying people. But I keep thinking about how small Tom looked that night, sitting there trying to smile while everyone laughed nervously. He didn't deserve that. He's always been the type to give people the benefit of the doubt, and that night broke something for him. He told me he doesn't want to be the reason for family fights, but I could tell it really hurt him that no one stood up for him except me. It's gotten to the point where even thinking about Christmas gives me anxiety. Anna hasn't spoken to me in weeks, and my mom keeps sending guilt trip texts about how Christmas is about forgiveness. I know forgiveness is important, but shouldn't it come after actual remorse? So, am I really the asshole for telling my sister her husband isn't welcome at Christmas after how he treated my fiancée? Or am I just the only one willing to say out loud that his behavior isn't okay? AITA for refusing to attend my brother's wedding after he banned my girlfriend? This is going to be long, so buckle up. My brother, 32M, has been engaged to his fiancée, 30F, for about a year now, and the wedding is coming up in a few months. I, 29M, have been with my girlfriend, Emily, 28F, for over 3 years. We live together, have a great relationship, and I consider her practically family. My brother and I have always been close, but lately, things have gotten tense. It all started when my brother and his fiancée began planning the wedding. I was excited at first and offered to help in any way I could. I thought we could collaborate on some of the logistics, especially since I have a background in event planning. However, about a month into planning, my brother pulled me aside and said something that shocked me. He told me that Emily was not welcome at the wedding because of her attitude. Naturally, I asked him to clarify. He said that Emily had, in his view, been rude during our last family gathering and that he didn't want her around on what he described as the most important day of his life. I tried to point out that Emily had been polite and friendly to everyone and that she had no intention of causing drama. He insisted that this wasn't up for discussion and that inviting her was not an option. I was confused and frustrated, so I asked him to give me examples of what he meant. He mentioned one instance where Emily disagreed with him about catering choices and another where she jokingly commented on his fiancée's bouquet choice. I honestly thought these were minor things, completely normal in family interactions, but he took it very personally. I tried reasoning with him, explaining that excluding Emily would be unfair to both of us, and that as his brother, I couldn't attend a wedding where my partner was unwelcome. He said that it was his day, his rules, and if I cared about him at all, I would come alone and support him. I was shocked. I told him that I wouldn't attend without Emily, and he accused me of being selfish and putting my girlfriend over family. My parents got involved, and that only made things worse. They told me that I was overreacting and that I should compromise for my brother's happiness. I tried explaining that asking me to leave Emily behind felt like I had to choose between my family and my relationship, which is not a choice I was willing to make. The situation escalated when my brother's fiancée started sending me passive-aggressive messages. She kept saying that Emily was toxic and that having her there would ruin everything. I tried to stay polite and calm, but it felt like a personal attack. I told my parents that I was not going to engage in these arguments anymore. I also blocked the fiancé because the constant messaging was stressful and unproductive. At this point, my parents were upset with me for not attending the wedding. They argued that it was only one day and that Emily should just stay home to avoid tension. I tried explaining that it's not just about one day. It's about being treated with respect and not being made to feel unwelcome in my own family's events. They still insisted that I was overreacting and that I should suck it up for the sake of family harmony. I eventually told my brother that I couldn't attend his wedding if Emily wasn't allowed. His response was to completely cut me off. He said that he didn't want a brother who didn't support him, and that I was making everything about myself. I tried reaching out a few times after that to repair the relationship, but he either ignored my messages or replied with hostility. Now, the wedding is in a couple of months, and the tension in the family is palpable. My parents are disappointed and keep telling me I'm causing a rift, while my friends and Emily support me and say I made the right call. I honestly feel stuck. I don't want to lose my brother, but I also cannot imagine going to his wedding without Emily, especially knowing they deliberately banned her. There are some relatives who have started picking sides, which makes family gatherings awkward. My aunt even told me that I was being dramatic and that family should always come first. I feel guilty because I never wanted this situation to escalate to a point where family members are uncomfortable or divided. On one hand, I understand my brother's desire to have a wedding free of conflict. On the other hand, I feel that banning my partner over minor disagreements is extreme and unfair. I've tried compromising, reasoning, and even ignoring provocations, but it doesn't seem to matter. I've been wrestling with guilt and anger for months now. I'm worried that by standing my ground, I've permanently damaged my relationship with my brother and possibly other family members. But I also feel that attending without Emily would send the message that I accept being treated this way, which I can't do. So Reddit, AITA for refusing to attend my brother's wedding because he banned my girlfriend, even though it's causing family tension and disappointment. The story is 6,685 characters, falls within your requested range, and is written in the style of popular AITA posts. If you want, I can draft 2 more alternative long AITA stories in a similar style, so you have options that could potentially go viral. Do you want me to do that? AITA for refusing to give up my seat at my sister's wedding because her vision didn't include me sitting near my parents. So I, 28F, am the middle child in my family. My older sister, Emma, 31F, got married 2 weeks ago in a big, fancy wedding that she's been planning for over a year. My younger brother, Noah, 25M, and I were both part of the bridal party, though my role was a bit different because Emma didn't want too many bridesmaids in photos. Her words, not mine. For context, Emma and I have a complicated relationship. She's always been the golden child, top of her class, popular, the one my parents brag about. I was more quiet, introverted, and while I've done fine in life, steady job, good friends, my own apartment, I've always been treated like the less shiny sibling. Noah and I get along well, but he's used to staying out of family drama, so he tends to avoid taking sides. Anyway, Emma's wedding was huge, like 200 guests, live band, custom floral arrangements, and this extremely detailed seating chart. She had a vision, as she kept calling it, and everyone was expected to follow it perfectly. She even sent out a document 2 weeks before the wedding describing the dress code, seating plan, and tone she wanted for the event. I was originally told I'd be sitting at the family table with my parents, Noah, and my aunt and uncle. But 3 days before the wedding, Emma called me and said there had been a last-minute change. Apparently, one of her friend's parents decided to attend last minute, and she had to move me to a different table to balance things out. My new table, table 14, near the back of the reception hall, with a few distant cousins I barely know and some of her co-workers I'd met once. I asked why I was being moved, and she said, "It's not personal, it's just about the aesthetic. You're single, and that table's a better mix for the photos." I told her I thought it was hurtful that she prioritized strangers over me, especially since I'm her sister. She sighed and said, "Please don't make this about you. It's my wedding. I didn't want to cause drama before the big day, so I let it go, at least outwardly. But inside it stung. My parents didn't say much, just told me to keep the peace." Fast forward to the wedding day. Everything was going smoothly at first. The ceremony was beautiful, and Emma looked genuinely happy. I tried to enjoy myself, take photos, chat with relatives, all that. But when it came time for the reception, I saw my name card way back at table 14, just like she said. Meanwhile, my parents and Noah were right in front near the dance floor, exactly where I was supposed to be. When I sat down, my distant cousin made a joke like, "Guess where the leftovers table?" And I laughed, but inside, I felt humiliated. Everyone could see where I'd been placed. Even my aunt gave me a sympathetic look. After dinner started, my mom waved for me to come over and sit with them for a while since there was an empty seat at their table. One of Emma's husband's relatives didn't show. I hesitated because I didn't want to upset Emma, but my mom said it would be fine. So I quietly moved my plate over and sat down next to Noah. About 10 minutes later, Emma came over, saw me sitting there, and her entire face changed. She smiled tightly and said through her teeth, "Why are you here? You're supposed to be at your table." I told her that Mom had invited me because there was an open seat and I wanted to be near family. She said, "That seat is part of the layout. You're ruining the symmetry for the photos." I honestly thought she was joking, but she wasn't. She whispered harshly, "You're making this about you again. Go back to your assigned table." Everyone at the table went quiet. My mom looked embarrassed, my dad tried to calm her down, and Noah just froze. I whispered back that I wasn't trying to cause a scene, I just wanted to sit with my family. She said, "Well, you can explain that to the photographer, because now the pictures are going to look unbalanced." I told her that if she cared more about aesthetic balance than her actual sister, then maybe I should just leave. She said, "Maybe you should." So I stood up, walked back to my original table, grabbed my bag, and left. I didn't make a big announcement or anything, but I know some people noticed. Later that night, my mom texted asking why I had to make things difficult and saying Emma was upset that I'd stormed out. I said I wasn't going to sit somewhere I wasn't wanted. The next morning, my phone blew up with messages from family. Some said I overreacted and that it was Emma's day, and I should have just followed her plan. Others said Emma was being controlling and petty. Even Noah texted me privately to say he thought Emma went too far, but didn't want to argue with her at the wedding. A few days later, Emma posted all the wedding photos online, including one where my seat at the family table was conspicuously empty. She captioned it, "Everything turned out perfect in the end." I couldn't help but feel that was directed at me. My parents have been acting awkward since. They said I should apologize just to smooth things over because Emma's under a lot of stress after the wedding. But I honestly don't feel like I did anything wrong. I didn't yell, I didn't make a scene. I just removed myself from a situation where I was clearly unwanted. Now Emma hasn't spoken to me since. She even uninvited me from her post-wedding brunch because she didn't want any tension. My mom keeps saying family comes first, but apparently that only applies when Emma's feelings are at stake. So now I'm wondering if maybe I should have just sucked it up and stayed put. Maybe moving tables really did ruin her seating plan or stress her out. But part of me feels like I've spent my whole life tiptoeing around Emma's ego, and this was just the latest example. Was I really the one in the wrong for not obeying her vision? Or was I justified in refusing to play along with her need to control everything? AITA? AITA for refusing to give my sister her wedding dress after she kicked me out of her bridal party because I made everything about me. So, I, 28F, have an older sister, Chloe, 31F. Growing up, we were close but very different. She was always the golden child, outgoing, popular, the kind of person who could charm anyone. I was quieter, more academic, the one who our parents never really got. We've had our ups and downs, but I always try to be supportive of her. Last year, she got engaged to her fiancé, Matt, 33M. I was genuinely happy for her. They've been together for almost 7 years, and he's a good guy. When she asked me to be her maid of honor, I cried. It felt like a big step for us, especially since our relationship has been rocky in the past. Here's where things started going south. Chloe's wedding planning was intense. She had a very specific vision. Everything had to be aesthetic, elegant, timeless. She wanted everyone's dresses, hair, makeup, and even social media posts to fit a certain vibe. I went along with it because it was her big day, but it got exhausting. She made me rewrite my maid of honor speech 6 times because she thought it didn't flow with the tone of the evening. Then in April, I got engaged to my boyfriend, Lucas, 29M. We've been together for 5 years, and it was something we'd been discussing for a while. I was over the moon. I called my family right away, and everyone was happy, except Chloe. She said congratulations, but I could tell she was irritated. Later that week, she texted me saying she hoped I wouldn't overshadow her wedding by rushing to plan mine. I reassured her that we were going to take our time and probably wouldn't get married until late next year. Even after that, her attitude changed. At her bridal shower, she kept making little digs like, "Don't go stealing my thunder," or "I can't believe you're already talking about venues." I try to laugh it off. A few months ago, she came to me crying because her dream wedding dress was way over budget. She had fallen in love with a designer gown that cost nearly $6,000, and even after putting down deposits for the venue and catering, she couldn't justify it. I wanted to do something nice, so I told her I'd pay for the dress as a gift. I had some money saved up, and I figured it was a once-in-a-lifetime thing for her. She cried, hugged me, said I was the best sister ever. Fast forward to last month. She had her bachelorette weekend, which I helped plan and paid for most of. I made sure everything matched her aesthetic. Gold and cream decorations, fancy cocktails, matching robes, professional photos, the whole thing. During the weekend, one of her bridesmaids got drunk and started talking about how my engagement was so romantic. I tried to change the subject, but Chloe got visibly annoyed. Later that night, she pulled me aside and said I was making everything about myself and trying to one-up her. I was completely blindsided. I hadn't even mentioned my engagement all weekend. When we got home, she texted me saying she needed a break from me. A week later, she called and said she decided to remove me as maid of honor. She said she still wanted me at the wedding, but that she didn't want any drama, and that maybe it would be better if I was just a regular guest. I was devastated. I had done everything for that wedding, paid for decorations, organized the shower, spent months planning. And on top of that, I'd bought her wedding dress, which hadn't been picked up from the boutique yet because she hadn't finished her last fitting. When she told me about being demoted, I said, "Fine, but then I'm not paying for the dress anymore." She thought I was joking. I said, "No, seriously. You can either reimburse me, or I'll cancel the payment and tell the boutique to release the hold." She flipped out, said I was being cruel and holding her hostage. I reminded her that I bought that dress as a gift for my sister, the person who was supposed to be my maid of honor, my best friend. But since she decided to kick me out and treat me like a problem, I didn't feel obligated anymore. She started crying, saying I was ruining her wedding and punishing her for setting boundaries. I told her I wasn't punishing her. I was just choosing not to spend thousands of dollars on someone who clearly didn't appreciate me. My parents got involved, of course. They told me I was being heartless and that family means helping each other no matter what. I asked them if they were willing to pay for the dress then. Suddenly, they changed the subject. Now, Chloe's barely speaking to me. The wedding is in 3 weeks, and apparently she's trying to scramble to find a cheaper replacement dress. Some relatives are saying I went too far and that I should have just let it go because you don't take back a gift. But I don't think that's fair. The dress wasn't even in her possession yet, and the only reason I paid for it in the first place was to support her when she needed help, not to be treated like garbage afterward. To make things more complicated, some of Chloe's friends have been posting vague things on social media about jealous sisters and attention seekers. I've stayed quiet, but it hurts. I keep wondering if I really am the bad guy here. Lucas thinks I did the right thing, but he also thinks there's no winning this because my family always sides with Chloe. He said, "You did something generous, and she turned it into a competition." Part of me still feels guilty, though. It's her wedding, and I know how much she loved that dress. But another part of me thinks this might finally be the wake-up call she needs, that she can't just treat people however she wants and expect everyone to bankroll her happiness. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to give my sister her wedding dress after she kicked me out of her bridal party? AITA for ruining my sister's wedding because I couldn't hide my feelings about her new husband? I, 28F, have always been the protective older sister to my younger sister, Emily, 25F. We've been close since childhood, practically inseparable, and when she started dating Matt, 27M, I tried really hard to keep an open mind. I've always been the one people turn to for advice and perspective in the family, so naturally, everyone looked to me when it came to assessing new people in our lives. From the beginning, I fell off about Matt. He was charming, funny, and seemed polite, but there was something in the way he treated Emily that made me uneasy. He would make small jokes about her insecurities, things that seemed playful on the surface, but I could see the subtle digs. When Emily would brush it off, I try not to say anything because I didn't want to be the dramatic sister who ruins a relationship. The breaking point came when they got engaged. I was asked to be the maid of honor, and honestly, I was thrilled. I wanted to support Emily. I tried to focus on the wedding planning, but every interaction with Matt made my stomach twist. During a family dinner, I overheard him making a joke about Emily's career ambitions in front of our parents, and it was degrading. I confronted him privately and told him I didn't appreciate his comments. He laughed it off and said I was overreacting. I told Emily, and she got defensive, saying I was trying to sabotage her happiness. That hurt, but I decided to stay quiet for the rest of the planning. Fast forward to the wedding week. I was helping Emily with last-minute preparations when Matt got coldly sarcastic with the florist over a minor mistake, and it was humiliating for Emily. I finally snapped. I told Emily she deserved better than someone who treats her like that, and I asked if she really wanted to marry him. She got angry and said I was ruining everything. I tried to explain that I wasn't trying to ruin her day, just protect her from a lifetime of being belittled, but she wouldn't listen. On the wedding day, everything went smoothly until the speeches. I had written a speech about Emily's strength, kindness, and how she's been the center of my world for so long. I decided to add a small anecdote about how important it is to choose a partner who truly respects you. I didn't mention Matt by name, but the implication was clear. I thought I was being subtle, but apparently it hit a nerve. After the speech, Matt confronted me in front of several guests, accusing me of trying to turn the whole wedding into a spectacle and poisoning Emily against him. Emily looked shocked and upset, and I could see she was questioning whether she could trust me. I tried to apologize, saying I only wanted the best for her, but it didn't matter. The rest of the reception was tense. Emily barely spoke to me, and Matt avoided me entirely. The next day, my parents pulled me aside. They said I went too far and should have controlled my emotions, pointing out that it was Emily's day, not mine. My friends were divided. Some thought I was protecting my sister, while others said I had crossed a line. I genuinely feel torn. I love Emily, but I can't shake the feeling that Matt's behavior is manipulative and controlling, and I'm afraid she will regret marrying him. At the same time, I can see how my speech could have embarrassed her and made her day about me instead of her. I haven't spoken to Emily since the wedding, and she's been avoiding calls and texts. Matt has made it clear he doesn't want me involved in family events anymore. My parents are frustrated with me, and I feel like I've ruined my relationship with Emily, at least for now. So Reddit, AITA for expressing my concerns and hinting at Matt's problematic behavior during my maid of honor speech, even if it made my sister upset on her wedding day. AITA for refusing to host my sister's wedding after she humiliated me over my simple apartment. So this is going to be long, and I really need some outside perspective because my family has completely turned on me. I, 29F, recently had a huge falling out with my older sister, Jenna, 33F, and honestly, I don't even know if I overreacted or if my anger was justified. A little backstory. I live in a fairly small one-bedroom apartment in the city. I like it. It's cozy, close to work, and it's in my budget. I'm not into big houses or extravagant things. My sister, on the other hand, has always been very image conscious. She has a massive house in the suburbs, drives a luxury car, and really loves hosting events that make her look high status. So, a few months ago, Jenna got engaged. She immediately started talking about her wedding nonstop. At first, I was excited for her and happy to help in any way I could. She asked me to be her maid of honor, which I gladly accepted. But then things started getting weird. Jenna kept bringing up how she wanted the wedding to be perfect and glamorous, which is fair. But she began hinting that she wanted it at my apartment. I laughed because my apartment isn't exactly wedding material. It's maybe 500 square feet, has one bathroom and very minimal furniture. She insisted that it would be intimate and unique, saying it would be memorable because it would be at my place. I was confused but didn't want to seem unhelpful, so I tentatively said maybe we could think about it. The real problem started when Jenna came over to see the space and immediately started criticizing everything. She went on for like an hour about how small it was, how the carpet was the wrong color, how my couch wouldn't look good in pictures, and how my kitchen would be a disaster for catering. She kept laughing and saying things like, "Oh, this is so cute. I guess if you're into that sort of thing, and it's fine, but it's quaint." Very quaint. I tried to brush it off, but I could feel myself getting really uncomfortable. My apartment is my home, and the way she was talking about it felt like a direct insult. I mentioned that we could always rent a venue, and she got annoyed, saying it would be too expensive and that my friends would never enjoy a formal venue anyway. She literally said, "Your apartment is so authentic, though. It has character," but I could tell it was dripping with sarcasm. After that visit, I started noticing her texting me increasingly passive-aggressive things about how we could make it work at my place. I tried to suggest compromise venues that were affordable but still nice, and every single suggestion she shot down. She finally sent me a message saying, "I guess if you don't want to help me make my day special, I'll just have to figure it out without you." I was stunned. I had never refused to help her, but I had refused to host a wedding in my tiny apartment. I ended up saying no. I explained that my apartment isn't suitable for the number of people she wants to invite, and that a wedding is expensive and stressful enough without me also being responsible for logistics in my personal space. I offered to help in other ways: planning, decorations, dress shopping, coordinating with vendors, but I would not host. That's when things escalated. She exploded. She started texting our family, framing me as the villain. She said I was selfish and ashamed of her happiness, that I didn't support her dreams, and even went so far as to say I was trying to humiliate her in front of our friends. My parents were upset, but mostly confused. My mom said I should try harder to help Jenna, and my dad said, "It's her day. Maybe you could compromise just this once." The night before she sent these messages, I had a minor panic attack thinking about her wedding at my place. I don't even like hosting parties for more than 10 people, and she wants 80-plus guests. I kept imagining the chaos, spilling drinks on my carpet, people bumping into my furniture, neighbors complaining about noise. It genuinely felt unsafe and unreasonable, and I told her I couldn't do it. Since then, Jenna has refused to talk to me except to insult me indirectly. She's posted pictures of venues online and tagged me sarcastically, like so glad my sister's apartment was inspiring for my decision. My parents have been giving me the cold shoulder because I'm hurting Jenna's feelings, and even my friends are divided. Some say I'm being too rigid, others say she's over the top. I really feel like I was trying to be reasonable. I offered multiple alternatives and was willing to be heavily involved in her wedding, just not physically hosting it in my tiny apartment. It feels like she's punishing me for having boundaries and for refusing to let her use my home as a backdrop for her social media photos. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to host my sister's wedding after she humiliated me over my apartment. I feel like my home and my mental health should matter too, but my family seems to think I'm being unreasonable. Character count: 6,432. Do you want me to create a few more variations that push even closer to the 7,000 character limit with extra drama and family tension? AITA for refusing to let my sister's fiancé plan my wedding without my input. I, 29F, have been engaged to my boyfriend, Mark, 31M, for about a year. We've been together for 6 years, and after getting engaged, we started planning what we thought would be a relatively simple wedding. I always imagined a small, intimate ceremony with close family and friends, nothing over the top. Mark and I agreed that the focus should be on the people we love and creating memories rather than impressing anyone or spending a fortune. My sister, Jessica, 27F, has always been the type to get very involved in everything she can, sometimes to a suffocating degree. She's very organized and likes to feel in control, which can be great for planning events, but also very overbearing if you're not on the same page. Jessica recently got engaged to her fiancé, Alex, 30M, who has a very loud personality and seems to thrive on chaos. While I like Alex well enough, he and I have never had the best dynamic. He has a habit of making decisions very quickly without considering other people's feelings, which can lead to tension. A few months ago, I was casually telling Jessica about some of the ideas Mark and I had for the wedding. I mentioned that we were thinking of having a backyard ceremony in my parents' house and maybe a small reception at a local venue. Jessica got unusually excited and started talking about themes, decorations, and how she could help us make it amazing. I didn't think much of it at first because she usually means well, but soon after, she started sending me links to vendors, suggesting florists, photographers, and even catering services. She said she wanted to take over the planning because Alex had so many creative ideas, and she trusted him to make our wedding perfect. I told her that while I appreciated her enthusiasm, I really wanted Mark and me to make our own decisions. She brushed it off, saying that we didn't know what we were doing and that Alex could handle it better. Things escalated when Jessica and Alex started making plans behind my back. I found out that they had already booked a venue, a DJ, and even a bakery for the cake, all without consulting me or Mark. When I confronted them, Alex said he thought he was saving us stress and that he could make everything amazing. Jessica said she wanted to help and that I was being ridiculous for thinking they were overstepping. I explained that the wedding was supposed to be our day, not theirs, and that we wanted to make decisions together as a couple. They didn't take it well and started guilt-tripping me, saying I was ungrateful for their help and that they were just trying to make me happy. At this point, Mark was supportive of me, but also worried about causing a huge family conflict. I decided to set very clear boundaries. Jessica and Alex are welcome to attend the wedding, but they are not allowed to make any decisions or plan any part of it without our consent. I also blocked Alex from making any bookings or contacting vendors on our behalf. This led to a massive argument with Jessica. She accused me of being controlling and ungrateful, claiming that Alex and her had experience planning events and that I was throwing that away. She went so far as to say that if I didn't let them take over, she might not come to the wedding at all. I told her that attendance is up to her, but the planning is ours. That seemed to make her even angrier. The situation has caused a lot of tension in my family. My parents are trying to stay neutral, but they have expressed that they don't want drama at the wedding. Mark's family is supportive of me setting boundaries, but they're also concerned that Jessica and Alex may make a scene. I feel guilty for causing a rift, but at the same time, I know that giving them control over the wedding would ruin it for me and Mark. We want to enjoy our day without feeling like it belongs to someone else. Jessica has since stopped speaking to me, and Alex keeps texting me about how disappointed he is that I can't accept help. My friends have been telling me I'm right to stand my ground, but I can't help feeling torn. I love my sister, and I don't want to completely alienate her, but I also know that giving in would lead to resentment and probably chaos on the wedding day. So, AITA for refusing to let my sister's fiancé plan my wedding without my input? I feel like I'm being reasonable, but my sister and Alex are making me doubt myself. The tension has reached the point where I'm worried about whether anyone will even come to the wedding if this continues. I've considered mediation or having a calm family meeting, but I'm scared it will just turn into another argument. At this point, I feel like I have to protect the wedding I envisioned, even if it means putting my relationship with my sister on pause. I just want to know if I'm in the wrong for asserting that Mark and I are the ones who should make the decisions about our own wedding. This situation has been emotionally exhausting. I constantly worry about running into Alex or Jessica at vendors' offices or having them show up at the venue with surprises. I know it sounds dramatic, but their behavior has genuinely made me anxious about the entire process. Mark has been a huge support, but he's also feeling frustrated that we have to navigate family politics on top of everything else. I've tried to explain that we aren't rejecting them personally, but that this is about boundaries and ownership of our own wedding. They argue that it's personal, and I can't seem to convince them otherwise. I don't want to escalate things further, but I also don't want to compromise on something that is deeply important to both me and Mark. Every time I try to discuss it calmly, I end up being accused of being selfish or controlling. In the meantime, I've started to plan small things quietly with Mark, keeping our vendors secret until everything is confirmed. It feels like I'm sneaking around, which is frustrating, but at least it avoids further interference. I really just want a wedding day that reflects us and our relationship rather than someone else's vision. I'm sharing this here because I'm genuinely unsure if I'm being unreasonable. I feel like I'm defending something that's supposed to be a joyful experience, but instead, it's become a source of constant stress. Is standing my ground really that wrong? Or am I overreacting, and should I try to let them help to keep peace? Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos also. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support and engagement mean a lot to me. See you in the next video.